Good evening and welcome to the 14th Annual Meath Sports Awards, a virtual presentation this year. Usually we would be in the Knightsbrook Hotel in Trim, but this year, due to reasons you all know about due to the pandemic, we have a different format for our awards and we have a condensed version of our awards ceremony. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the contributions of staff in the Meath Chronicle, editor Gavin Becton, and my colleagues joining me here this evening, Fergal, Lynch and Geoghegan. We also have to acknowledge the contribution from the sponsors for our awards and our overall Sportsperson of the Year. Our support for that is coming from Meath County Council. We have a Team of the Year, and that is sponsored by Ecom Prepaid Financial. And then we have 3 Outstanding Achievement Awards, and the sponsors there are Devonish, Knightsbrook Hotel and Utmost. And now I'll hand over to Fergal Lynch.
Thanks very much, Conall. Yeah, tonight we are going to present 3 Outstanding Achievement Awards to 3 remarkable people that have done really well in their various categories in 2020. First up in our Outstanding Achievement Awards is former Meath and Rathmolline hurler Jack Fagan, who played a starring role in Waterford's run to the All-Ireland Senior Hurling Final. We'll also be presenting an award to Trim man Tim Clancy, who was the manager of the Drogheda United team that won promotion to the League of Ireland Premier Division and secured the Division 1 title for the Louth club. And we also have an award for Star of the Sea athlete Andrew Cosgren, who enjoyed a remarkable 2020, winning the National Indoor 1500 metres title and has also competed at the European Championships. So we look forward to presenting our awards and having a chat with those winners later on. And now I'll hand you over to Geoghegan.
Thank you very much, Fergal. Yes, and we will be presenting I will present the award to the winners of the team category for 2020, and they are the Meath ladies football team. They had a brilliant year. They won the All-Ireland Intermediate Football Championship. They overcame challenge after challenge and defeated Westmeath in the final. A tremendous game, tremendous performance by the team, and I'll be talking to 3 members of that group, 2 players, Shauna Ennis and Maura O'Shaughnessy, and I'll be also talking to the new chairman of the Meath Ladies County Board, Colin McManus. So join us for that.
The first recipient is a man I know well from his playing days in the North Eastern County Schoolboys League, where he was actually the first underage player of the year. That's going back a bit. Maybe you mightn't like to be reminded of that, Tim, but you've had a good season with Drogheda United in 2020. That's putting it sort of very simple.
I suppose it was a culmination of maybe 3 years of really hard work and progression, and in a strange season last year that was very short in games but very long in time because of the break with the 3 months or 4 months in the middle with COVID. It was really pleasing to get over the line right at the end, and we had that little night up in Stradbrook, Cabinteely way, where we clinched the league title, and probably hampered a little bit by no fans there, but nevertheless we're looking forward now to a great season ahead. And I suppose it reminds you of a lower league club in England where it still sort of has the culture and the atmosphere there, and it's what some people would describe as real football, I suppose, going back many years. But yeah, not having the fans there was very disappointing. We didn't want to witness it, but I witnessed Shells getting their glory day last season or the season before when they clinched the title at United Park and was in front of 2,500 odd people there. And it was a great atmosphere, and we sort of missed out on that. But I suppose the main thing for ourselves as a club and for the fans is that we got over the line and got promoted last season, and now hopefully at some stage during this season the fans will be back in and you might be able to witness a couple of loud derbies and Shamrock Rovers and Bohemians and the big clubs coming to town and watching us trying to put our wits against them.
And the challenge now, of course, aside from the top 2-3 clubs there that you mentioned, the rest of the clubs, it's about surviving, maybe pushing for 4th place, trying to get a European spot. Drogheda will be a hard team for all the other teams to win games against. You've assembled a good panel.
Yeah, again, listen, any team that just gets promoted, probably the first objective is to stay in the league, and that's something that we'll be looking at. We didn't come up with a big budget and a big backer that's firing money into the club the way Waterford did a few years ago, or Limerick previously to that, and they were able to put a very, very experienced squad together and challenge for Europe. Again, this season, last season, I think a few clubs will probably be disappointed with how it finished for them in the Premier Division, and I imagine they'll be stronger again this year. So, but again, it'll be looking at all the teams that I think will be around us near the bottom of the league and playing against them. They're the biggest games in the First Division. We were in the First Division, so get them in the Premier Division now. It's still a massive game, but then you have the added ones of the big lads coming to town and the ones with the star players, and it's certainly something that our players that are very fit, young, ambitious, and we've brought in some experienced lads from the Premier Division as well that they'll certainly help us along, and hopefully we'll have enough there to stay up.
And you have a few Meath fellas with you.
Yeah, James Clark is there from Killeen. Very good little footballer. He came into us a couple of years ago, and we also have Brandon Birmingham from I think he's Duleek or Bellewstown. I think it's Duleek, and then Luke Heaney's up in Bellewstown as well, and there's a couple of other ones then scattered about the county in the underage as well. So it's good though as well that geographically it's probably the closest League of Ireland club to a lot of people in Meath, and I think the club need to do a bit more to tap into that and try and get when the doors open again, get more fans in and tie in with the Drogheda and tripping straight over the county border into Meath and get more involved in the community as well.
Yeah, you just mentioned a real hurling stronghold there. When you mentioned Killeen, anyone coming from Killeen would be well able to look after themselves on the pitch. But you were handy enough at the old hurling yourself.
I was too handy now. I didn't do too much hurling. I stood there with a hurley in my hand, but I'd be slagging myself that I'd be the most defensive corner forward you'll ever see.
And just we'll finish up now, but you've had a good innings as a manager, even though you're only going into your fourth season. You would be one of the longer serving managers in the League of Ireland. But there's no real pressure on you this season to win a trophy. It's all about survival.
Yeah, listen, again, I'd see myself as very inexperienced in regards to my managerial career and very short into it. But it is, I think I'm the fourth or fifth longest serving manager in the country. So it just shows you the difficulties that is in the industry of football, and especially in the management side of it, that clubs pull the trigger and get rid of people when results aren't going well. So I'm very pleased that I have a club behind me, and fortunate that I have a chairman and a board that have a vision long term, and they see where we want to go, and they see the improvements that we're making each year, and they've backed me from the second I've got in there to now, and I've got a very good relationship with Conor Hoy and Dermot McKenna and the rest of the people at the club. And again, as you said, there's no pressure on us to win something this year, but that doesn't mean that we won't set individual goals inside the dressing room to finish as high up the table as we can and compete it with every game we play, and hopefully that result in us getting a good cup run and a good league campaign as well.
Right, and you're a thoroughly deserving recipient of an Outstanding Achievement Award from what is your local paper. So on behalf of everyone in the Meath Chronicle, congratulations to him.
I'm delighted as well then to receive the award, and I look forward to maybe getting into an awards night when it's a little bit different.
Okay, I'd like to welcome former Meath and Rathmolline hurler and current Waterford star Jack Fagan to our Meath Chronicle Sports Awards. Jack, you're very welcome to our awards night. You're a recipient of our Outstanding Achievement Award. Been a magnificent 2020 for yourself personally and for Waterford as well. Ultimately, I suppose it ended in disappointment, but how was your journey in 2020?
Well, thanks a million, lads, for having me. Now, I wasn't expecting to get an award of this magnitude at all, but thanks a million for having me as well, Fergal. But yeah, I suppose, look, it was you could take a good few positives as well, but for 2020 individually and that. But I think in the scheme of things, either we were hungry for silverware, whether it be the Munster final, League, and the All Ireland. Kind of Limerick were the better team in that sense, but look, we got to the final, we didn't really perform, and Limerick were the best team in the country as well, but kind of we'd hopefully go again, but kind of disappointment as well though, because we didn't really have anything to show for it either. Like, but look, Waterford hurling seems to be in a good place at the minute anyway, so look, it was a good year, I suppose, if you look at it in that sense, but disappointed that we didn't win anything either. So
but you broke through onto the team and managed to hold on to your place. I know you'd been knocking on the door of the panel for a couple of years, Jack. Can you give us a little bit of an insight into your journey and how you ended up going from Rathmaline, which is a stronghold of hurling in Meath, of course, to ending up, I know you went to college in Carlow and then ended up playing with De La Salle in Waterford. Can you give us a little bit of an insight into that journey?
Yeah. Well, look, it's not obviously a thing where I set out from a young age when I was in Rathmaline that I was ever going to move and leave the county or things like that. Like, the dream was to play with Meath and on the county teams and stuff like that, like, you know, but obviously it was kind of just, I was kind of growing up that bit faster, more so than other people my age. I just had the opportunity to kind of move on and kind of grow up that bit quicker. And luckily, look, I was okay at the hurling and someone saw something in me as well. So I just kind of took a risk, you know, and I suppose, look, it kind of paid off with the kind of level I'm playing at now. But look, it's not a thing either where it's not as if I started up playing hurling when I was 18 or 19. Like, it's due credit to Rathmaline Hurling Club in Meath as well. All my coaches underages as well. Like, so that's where it all started when I was 4 years of age back in Meath. Like, so that's kind of where it ended up. And then the club down here in De La Salle as well, like, just through to them as well to get me onto the Waterford team. Like, but all the managers up in the club there as well are so good too. Like, so a lot of credit to a lot of people involved.
So when you say you're okay at hurling, that was a little bit of an understatement there. You've been probably underselling yourself a little bit, but you ended up playing hurling with Meath at a relatively young age and got to play in a game or two with the seniors before your move. What was the difference in standard when you go from playing with Meath to even playing with such high quality players in IT Carlow, and then another step up then going to Waterford under-21s and then Waterford seniors? Was there much difference in the standard there, Jack?
Like, look, you'd be lying if you said there wasn't really. Like, you know, there is the step up is pretty big. Like, you know, like, even train at any level in intercounty or college, it's always going to be that bit harder. But I just think it's just this, like, the players involved with Waterford, like, individually, everyone sets a standard. Like, you know, there's no real slacking that goes on, and if there is, it's sniffed out early on, and people are gone then as well. Like, you know, but it's probably just, you hear it anyway, I don't want to sound cliche, but it's just the pace of the game, you know. Probably fitness levels are another thing, like, but that's not to discredit other lower divisions. There's hurlers on any team, like Geoghegan or whoever, they'd start on most county teams if they put their head to it, like, you know. But it's kind of probably just the intensity levels and the competition you're playing against as well, like, you know, that people are training at that level. As you said, under-21, and these players could have been playing minor A the whole way up, you know, so they're just the level of coaching and players that they're surrounding each other as well. Just the standard is kind of through the roof at times, you know.
You really, as you said, burst onto the scene this year, but that All-Ireland semi-final against Kilkenny, where you were well down at half-time and, you know, everybody was pretty much writing Waterford off at that stage. You had a magnificent second half. Your high fielding kind of had all the commentators and all the journalists in awe at your high fielding ability. Is that one of the strengths of your game? Is that something that has improved since you went down to Waterford and you know, that you're hoping to build on in the future?
Yeah, look, the second half, I suppose a lot of people going on about it. Obviously, it was for the whole team, it was great, and individually, look, it was okay for myself. But as well, I wouldn't be looking too much at that side of it, whereas I'd be looking at, say, where the ball came from as well. Stephen O'Keefe in the goals, like, he's nearly like a quarterback there with the timing of the runs you could do, and then he picks you out perfectly. You know, it was just kind of, I suppose if I had to pick an aspect of my game where I'd be happy enough with, probably would be that side of it too, you know. But it kind of comes back to the whole forward unit movement as well. It's not as if I'm standing on my own, the ball's getting top of me. It's kind of, there's a lot of movement going on with other forwards and other half forwards. And
well, you got huge support from up here in Meath. I know everybody in Rathmaline and Meath hurling was very proud of your achievements, and we were all wearing our recently newly purchased Waterford jerseys for the All-Ireland final, and lovely banners outside the Boyne School in Trim as well for yourself and Colin Keane when you see you know, two young lads coming from the school there. So it's good to get that support from the county. Well, look, we were very proud of you up here, and it really was a remarkable achievement for a Meath hurler to be playing in an All-Ireland hurling final. So on behalf of the Meath Chronicle sports editor Conall Collier and Jimmy Geoghegan and myself, as I said, we're very proud of your achievements. And
moving on to our next Outstanding Achievement Award, and I'm joined by two men here from the Star of the Sea Club, a stalwart of the club, Brendan Mead, and the main focus of the interview, Andrew Koskinen, who was running last week in the European Indoor Championships in the 1500 metres in Turun in Poland. I'm sure I didn't pronounce Turun properly, but you get the drift. Going to you first, Brendan. A great achievement for Andrew and a great reflection on the club.
A fabulous achievement, and especially as it was his first senior indoor track and field championships, to make the final and then to finish in 7th position was a really fabulous bit of running over the 2 days.
And what does that mean for the club? An athlete from the club getting that sort of exposure and prominence for the club, it has to have a positive impact.
Well, it does. Hopefully it will inspire younger athletes within the club to have the same dedication and work effort that Andrew has had since he was a teenager. Like, Andrew started out as an 8-year-old in the club, then moved and was playing football, being coached by his dad on the football team, and then came back to running when he was a teenager and has stayed with it ever since, and has applied himself diligently to the task and reaped the reward last weekend.
At this stage, it's time to hear from the man himself, Andrew Koskinen. Andrew, congratulations, first of all, on your fine run in Poland. But prior to that, you're getting the award actually for the success you enjoyed last year at the 1500 metres. You won the National Indoor Championship. That must have been a special occasion for you, taking you back 12 months.
Yeah, that was huge. That was my first national senior title. That was huge. I was very proud to take that and get the course record alongside it. It was a huge achievement for me.
And since then, like we all know the problems there has been for sport, for elite, and maybe even not for non-elite athletes and teams and that. What has it been like trying to keep your competitive fitness at the level required to get picked for the Irish team, first of all?
So our access to facilities hasn't been great over the last while. Getting into gyms or getting onto tracks has been quite difficult. And then obviously we had a 2 kilometre limit and then a 5 kilometre limit, which made it quite difficult to kind of train as a group or even to train nearby, like to get to parks and stuff. So a lot of the runners had been done on the road and stuff, which it wouldn't have usually been done. What we did though is we went over to Portugal to get away from the restrictions here, where we had access to a gym, a track, and trails over there, and it was that was good. But we couldn't go over there. We can't spend our entire time over there, so it has been impacted by being in Ireland and the restrictions here.
And before the Irish team was announced for the indoor championships in Poland, you had a couple of outings in France where you ran some very good times, and you weren't too far behind the Polish runner. I think Lewandowski was his name.
Yeah, Lewandowski is a world-class athlete, and I think in a lot of the races I finished just behind him. I think in Louvain and Madrid I finished just one place behind him, and to be that close to a world-class athlete, that was a huge achievement for me as well.
And then you went into the qualifying heat in the indoor championships. Bit of pressure on there. You had to make sure you qualified first of all, and you did it quite comfortably in the end. But there was a bit of doubt when the 3rd and 4th heats had to take place after you ran in the 2nd heat.
Yeah, so going into the heats, obviously top two were to qualify, and then 4 fastest losers. So the initial plan was to kind of get top 2. But I knew that was going to be a tall order with the talent that was in the field, and I know that each one of the heats was stacked, and there was a lot of good runners. So to get top 2 would have been huge. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get top 2, but then I managed to qualify through as the first fastest loser. Which I was lucky that my heat was pretty fast. But I went with the heat and I came through in 3rd place, and the guy who came behind me also qualified through. So maybe it was lucky that heat was fast, but I think I was the first fastest loser, so I think I earned my spot in the final. And
just a general comment about looking at these 1500 metre races. they're not a gentle and an easygoing thing. There's a fair bit of jockeying for position.
Yeah, I think so. Like, there's usually in a 1500 meter heat, you kind of weigh up the two options of going to the front and kind of get a bit more physical and kind of waste a bit more energy, kind of throwing shoulders and kind of hold your position up front, or you can kind of go to the back and kind of stay out of trouble. I opted for the second option to kind of stay at the back, stay out of trouble, and try to come through strong at the end.
Your goal now, what's your next objective?
So currently we're based in Ireland. We'll go out to a training camp now in April with the hopes of qualifying for the Olympic Games. So at the moment I'm ranked 34th if considering 3 athletes per country are sent to the Olympic Games. So if I can hold my spot there, I'll race throughout the season, the outdoor season, towards keeping my place, my ranking spot in the rankings, and then hopefully get sent to the Olympic Games then end of July, start of August.
Well, that's certainly a lofty goal to be aiming for, and on behalf of everyone in the Meath Chronicle, and I'm sure everyone in Meath, we'd like to wish you the best of luck with that. And just before I finish up, I believe you have the trophy there that you're getting, so just prove that you have it.
Here we go.
All right. Listen, Andrew, thanks very much, and best of luck, and we'll be keeping an eye on how you're going, and I'm sure Brendan Mead will be keeping us informed as well and telling us all the good things about you. So thanks very much, guys.
Okay, so here we are, and the winners of the team of the year this year was the Meath ladies football team. They had a wonderful 2020. They went through a campaign that included a lot of very challenging games. And with me today now, I've got Colin McManus, who's chairperson of the Meath Ladies County Board, Shauna Ennis and Moira O'Shaughnessy, who are 2 players, of course, on that team. And I just got to Colin first. Colin, what was your reaction after that final whistle? Can you remember how it...
Jimmy, I suppose relief would first come to mind. The elation to having achieved winning it, having lost the previous 2 finals, and knowing the hard work that all the girls put in.
Yes, okay, and they had lost the last 2 finals, and it must have been a sense of maybe they'll never get to the winners' podium.
This year, I have to say, I've seen something different from a fitness point of view. I'm not saying that it hadn't been fit the previous, but there seemed to be, the longer games went on in 2020, the stronger they were finishing out games.
Okay. Shauna, when you look back in 2020, and then compare it to the 2 previous years, what was the difference this year, did you notice?
Yeah, I suppose it's hard to put your finger on in some ways, because a lot of the things, we were doing the same things really, but obviously the pain of losing the 2 previous finals, that would do a lot to drive anyone on. So we were very, very determined this year. I think from day one when we went back training, it was our sole aim really to get back to Grove Park and to show people that we could win. We wanted to be a consistent team. So obviously when the final whistle blew, then we were delighted. Couldn't have been happier.
Yeah, I mean, was there any time during the course of the final against Westmeath that you thought, well, look, we really have to dig in here, we have to do something special, or how did the game go for you personally?
Yeah, well, look, I suppose as a back, the first 10 minutes probably wasn't an ideal start for us, letting in the few goals. But I think what stood to us was none of us hung our heads, and I still had it. I still believed that we were going to win it. So, and even asking other people, I think, who were watching at home, what did you think when those 3 goals went in? A lot of people, don't know if they're lying to me now, but they said they still thought that we were going to come back.
Okay, thank you, Shauna. Moira, of course, you were the captain. I think this was your second, or 2020 was your second year as captain. First year, you had to sort of just watch the team lose their way in the final. But this year, I just wondering what you said to them before they went out. against Westmeath?
Yeah, to be honest, like I don't think there was I didn't really need to instill much motivation in them. They were just so ready. They're really they're a group that are really kind of self-driven and really kind of determined on an individual level. So like it doesn't take, and Shauna, who's the captain now this year, like she'll agree. They don't take a lot of motivating. There's not, much leadership kind of involved with the group as a whole. It's a bunch of just natural leaders and a really determined group of players, and we kind of viewed like their ambitions are so high that the intermediate final was just kind of a stepping stone into bigger things that we want to achieve as a group in the coming years. So there was definitely no magical words that influenced that day. It was just like a mindset. We were all in, heading out into Croke Park.
Was there a change in tactics in any way this year compared to last year?
No, and that's actually a question I've been asked a bit. A lot of people kind of commented on our game plan, and that we seem like a team that we know what we're doing. And I suppose since kind of 2017, since the new management then came in and the current management now, they kind of instilled a game plan in us, and I suppose it took 3 years to really develop and for players to be really comfortable with it. And I suppose the thing is with game plans, they don't always go your way. Your opposing team also has a game plan, so it's about adapting to that. So I suppose you could probably tell from the first couple of minutes we wanted to really go at Westmeath, and I think we all took that quite literally. We all really went, and in as a result left ourselves a bit vulnerable on the backs probably in the first couple of minutes. But I think that experience of being able to adapt after kind of 3 goals going in within a very short amount of time, not a lot of teams will be able to kind of keep the head and just kind of recalculate it all. But I think that kind of shows the kind of the strength the team has come through in the last couple of years, and the game plan that we stick to.
Yeah, well, it was a great tribute. Of course, the victory was a great tribute to Eamon and to you guys, everybody involved. And Maura, I think you've got the award there. So we'd like to virtually present you with the award for the Team of the Year on behalf of you're representing your colleagues and everybody else. And I'd just like to present that on behalf of the Meath Chronicle, and congratulations to you for the achievement.
Thank you very much. It's a great honour. Thanks a million.
Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in to watch our Meath Sports Awards. I'm Fergal Lynch. It's been an honour covering Meath Sports over the last 12 months, and hopefully we'll have a better 12 months to look forward to. I now hand you over to Jimmy Geoghegan to bid his farewells.
Thanks very much to all who supported this event, and we wish everybody a safe and prosperous 2021. And I hand over to Conall.
A quick transformation from the Zoom calls, and I've moved outside and changed clothes, as you can see, and standing in Kiltale talking to a top sportsman from Trim. That probably gives it away straight away who the sports person of the year for 2020 is. It's Colin Keane, and he's here socially distanced from me, so as we comply with all the regulations. Colin, it was a good year for horse racing, but it was a difficult year, 2020.
It was, yeah. It took a little while to get going. In our first lockdown, we weren't allowed race, but thankfully towards the end of March, early April, we got going. I know it was hectic, but it was a great year, to be honest.
Right, and getting straight to it, the big race at the Curragh, the one that I was shouting at the television, Siskin. How did you manage to win that race? You had to get out from behind a wall of horses with about a furlong and a half to go. It looked impossible, but you did it. Can you reveal the secrets?
I think a lot of it's to do with with a bit of luck and being on the right horse on the right day, we ended up we didn't go too quick. He travelled very strong, and once the gap appeared, he quickened up into it, and as you see him going by the furlong pole, he quickened away, and he was a very good winner on the day. He'd been a very good 2-year-old for this yard. He gave me and Jar our first Group 1 winner in Ireland, and for him to go and give us our first classic winner was just a dream come true, to be honest.
Yeah, and in a flat race, like depending obviously on the distance, you're talking about somewhere between a minute, less than a minute if it's a 5 furlongs, maybe 2-3 minutes depending on the length of the race. As I said, like what's going through your head? You don't have an awful lot of time to think.
Yeah, there's not much going through your head, as you said. You don't have a lot of time to think, but you take what comes in front of you, and as I say, it's a lot of it to do with luck and being on the right horse on the right day.
Right. And like that wasn't the only big race winner you had. You had more big race winners in Ireland, but you also, due to the COVID, picked up a spare ride at the Breeders' Cup, and you were getting up on a horse that I don't think you had ridden it before. You hadn't ridden it before. I'm sure you'll correct me if you have. How do you deal with something like that? Again, it's 3 or 4 minutes, and you have to try and do everything right.
Yeah, look, I think that was being in the right place at the right time to get the rider, and thankfully enough, I'm friendly with Oisin Orr, who rides in Ireland, who is Dermot's jockey, and he told me everything I needed to know about her, and listening to Mr. Weld and connections. So then I just had to try and deliver what they wanted me to do, and thankfully on the day of the filly, she was very good now.
And of course, yourself and Shane Foley headed off to the Breeders' Cup before the flat season had officially ended, but we knew at that stage that you were champion and Shane was runner-up. It was a great battle between yourself and Shane, and you're the best of friends as well.
Yeah, it was a great battle between us from Flagfall, and as you say, it's good friendly rivalry. We get on very well together, and I have no doubt he'll be win the championship in the near future.
Yeah, and like it didn't look at one stage like after you came back from the Sussex Stakes, you had to quarantine for the 14 days, and you were a good bit behind Shane at that stage. It didn't look like you had a chance of winning the championship. What changed?
I don't know. When we went to the Sussex Stakes, we kind of sacrificed it basically, because when are we going to get another Siskin? They're far and few between. So probably wasn't on my mind, or I wasn't thinking about it, and we just got on the roll of winners, and my agent done a very good job, and winner after each other just kept coming, and as I say, we got on the roll, and it just went from there.
Right. And with the COVID and that, did you have a lot of COVID tests?
Yeah, when we went abroad, we had to get tested. I think it was 5 days or so before we went. Then, if it was only England, 5 days before we went, and we came home the following day, and then another 5 or 6 days afterwards. So no, we were well tested. The racing have been on top of it. They've done a brilliant job throughout the summer.
Okay, and I mean it's been a good 2020 from the perspective of Trim, because we have Tim Clancy from Trim. He's got an outstanding achievement award. Jack Fagan, well, he went to school in Trim. He's not from Trim. He's from Rathmalline. He played with Waterford in the senior hurling, the All Ireland senior hurling final. And Colin Keane, this is your second time to be champion jockey. That's a good achievement.
Yeah, no, to be champion jockey once even is things you dream of growing up. So to get a championship, a second one, it's brilliant.
2021, obviously there's pressure on you now to retain the championship, go for third title. What are your goals for 2021?
We start out each year to try and beat the previous year's tally, which I didn't think we'd get to the amount we got to last year with everything the way we were held up at the start. So if we could get near to that, and if we could ride hopefully in the same sort of class races, we'd be pretty happy.
Okay, well listen, thanks very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that it's a hectic schedule. It's not a 9 to 5 type of job. you're a worthy champion Meath Sports Person of the Year for 2020. And I'd ask, I can't present you with the trophy, so it's your lucky day. So just take it there. And thanks very much.
Thanks a million.
That concludes our 2020 Meath Sports Awards. Congratulations to all our award winners. Overall Sportsperson of the Year, Colin Keane, when that was sponsored by Meath County Council. The Team of the Year, the Meath Ladies Footballers, the All-Ireland Intermediate Champions, sponsored by Ecom Prepaid Financial. And then our 3 Outstanding Achievement Award winners. The sponsors were Devonish, Knightsbrook Hotel and Utmost, and the recipients of those awards were Tim Clancy, Andrew Coscoran and Jack Fagan. So from the Meath Chronicle Sports Awards from 2020, good evening.